How's it going, everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we're looking at 10 things Amazon Game Studios needs to add to New World as soon as possible to get the game back on track. But before we get into it, please consider giving the video a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps out massively. Now, let's get started with number 1. And probably the most requested one from the community is to fix the current bugs that are in the game and find a way to have less in future releases. I am no coder by any means, but I did have one idea on how to improve this without just saying hire more staff, and that's to incentivize the bug testers in the public test realm. There's a small amount of people who will jump into the PTR and actively bug test for free for no other reason than that they love the game. But I believe you can pull in a much larger crowd to help them bug test with no cost at all to AGS. Something as simple as a really cool skin or a cool mount or even in-game gold for testing out new patches before they go live. The skin or the mount can work like Twitch drops. The longer you're in the PTR playing around and testing, the more you unlock, with the requirements like a certain amount of bugs submitted to fully unlock the skin. There would need to be even higher tiers of the skin, or the mount, of course, to encourage people to keep coming back, and to give prestige to those who put in tons of time bug testing. But I think it would bring a whole new crowd of testers in. Or even, just a simple gold for testing system could work too. Maybe 1k gold for every 30 minutes you spend actively testing on the PTR. Or maybe a large chunk of gold, like 10k, for the first person to report a significant bug that the devs end up fixing. Some kind of incentive to be on the PTR would really help out though, and would make people feel like they're not wasting their time when they're over there. Number 2. The allowance of player-built add-ons. I think this would be a much bigger improvement to the game than AGS might even consider, because it'll allow for players who love the game to build stuff for them for free to take away a lot of the complaints the player base has. So for example, I would say a big chunk of the player base would like it if the game had a mini-map at the top right, kind of guiding them, instead of the current compass system. A player can easily build this for the game with an add-on, and then players can use it and no longer complain to AGS about adding it into the game. If the player who makes the add-on does an amazing job, AGS can even throw them some money and fully add it into the game's code. This is coming from someone who isn't the biggest fan of add-ons. I don't like to have to download and set up a bunch of add-ons in my games, but I think objectively, it's the best move, and hopefully if it's implemented well, it won't be that complicated to use. Old School RuneScape has a really good and easy to use add-on system within their community. Number 3. Rework the storage system. Ideally, a mega storage with everything in one place would be amazing. Maybe keep the chests in the house to increase the size of it, and throw in the more storage space for gold system most MMOs use. This will add another gold sink and more things for players to work towards. I understand that this might not be possible on the server end, so if the storage has to be kept the same way it currently is, then something as simple as being able to add custom names to your storages would go a long way, as most people keep different resources in different towns, so just being able to name a town something like Stonecutting would speed things up on finding everything. This is a great example of when player add-ons can really come in handy, saving AGS development time, and getting the community something that would be great. A player could most likely create an add-on to name the storages very easily and get it out for the community within the week. Number 4. Rework the rewards on old content. Simply by changing the loot table to a lot of old content, like the Sandworm, and making the rewards actually feel worth it, would bring so many players back to playing all the previous content, and allow new players to find groups to play with. I'm not sure how hard of a task this would be, but it doesn't sound like too much work, and it will bring so much more life to the game. This includes the daily expedition rewards. I see people on Reddit saying that they can't find people to run the expeditions with them, so they can't try any of them out, especially the non-mutated ones. But a simple reward buff would for sure change that. Say 1k for doing up to 3 random, non-mutated expedition runs per day, and maybe 3k or a chromatic seal for the mutated ones. This would make doing this on par with other daily activities like your 3 bonus missions, and would get people doing them much more, giving the newer players who want to try out these expeditions some people to get in there with. Number 5. Make everything cross-server. This will also go a massive way towards keeping a lot of content alive with the reworked rewards if you can play with players from all servers. We already have it for OPR. We need it for 3v3s, trial bosses, and mutation 3 expeditions now as well. There's too many servers that get to such a low population that the players end up suffering and are only able to do OPRs. More cross-server stuff needs to be added as soon as possible. Or best case scenario, number 6, mega servers. I believe they said this was not possible, but if there was a way to get this done, it would take the game to the next level. It would also eliminate the need for any cross-server. This would make the game feel a lot more alive, even when it's in the content null periods. Plus, it will make the community feel more together. Events hosted by people can have the whole community participate, instead of just people from that server. There's so many content creators I'd love to play with, but we aren't in the same server, so there's nothing we can do about it. AGS needs to find a way to make this possible, especially with the new Lord of the Rings MMO coming out, because no matter how good it may be, if it doesn't have mega servers, it will turn a lot of people off from the game. At the very least, increasing the server sizes further and getting it down to a minimal number of servers is needed to keep things alive at all times in Eternum. Number 7. More PvP themed content. I couldn't put together this list without throwing PvP content in there, as it's something that's probably the most asked for. The PvP island will be nice when it comes out, if implemented well, but I think more love needs to be shown to the PvP community, and that's coming from mostly a PvE player. They have been neglected for a while. For starters, a new OPR map is an easy win to satisfy them, but more still needs to be done. For the OPR map, I'd like to see a desert-themed map, like Brimstone Sands. Then, reworks to the war system and even influence races could go a long way in satisfying the PvP community, with maybe some practice wars as well. A couple new game modes could be great too, like Capture the Flag, or just a simple team deathmatch. A great game mode idea that the Grumpy Peanut suggested would be something like the Infected game mode in Halo. A group of survivors will be in an area being attacked by other players, take the form of corrupted mobs, with increased movement speeds. Each time a survivor dies, they join the infected team until there's no one left, or the survivors outlast the corrupted. That'll be a lot of fun, and that'll be a great way for players that aren't the best at PvP to still be competitive in a PvP mode. I think the new PvP track awards were an awesome addition, but maybe keep throwing more cool stuff in there, like housing items and skins that look amazing, that can only be gotten through PvP to really show who the best PvPers are out there. Going along with that, we have number 8, improved leaderboards. There's a couple of parts to this one, and to start with, better skins as a reward. For something that requires so much effort, I think the skin should look amazing, and the current one isn't the best. But then also, I think we need overall leaderboards, for the real hardcore players to compete on. Seasonal and weekly leaderboards are nice, I'm not saying get rid of them, but I think we need an overall one as well, maybe even cross-server leaderboards, to show who's the best of the best, not just the best over the last month or season. So for example, going off the last point, for PvP, there can be a lifetime leaderboard with who has the highest overall PvP track level. So if someone grinded so much PvP that they got a track level of over 9,000, they might be at the top of the list, with everyone competing to beat them for that spot. You can even have them for overall kills in wars, OPRs, 3v3s, open world, etc. Just something that gives these elite players something to really compete for, and feel proud of achieving, and of course, such a difficult feat would require amazing looking skin that not many players will be able to get in the game. Maybe just copy RuneScape and make it some kind of amazing cape, and they can even add a cosmetic cape slot for the characters to add to their transmogs, so they can still use whatever skins they want, but use the cape to show off their achievements. I would also want this kind of leaderboard love shown to the PvE players as well, for those who might not be elite PvPers. Overall leaderboards for every skill, so like highest logging aptitude level, most legendary fish caught, highest smelting aptitude level, etc. There's so many players who just love the life scaling in the game, and don't care much about the combat. Give them something to strive towards, and make their grind feel worth it. I've seen people roleplay as a baker in my server before, just making and selling bread. If they could grind to be the #1 chef on Eternum, I think it would make their experience so much more enjoyable. RuneScape does this very well, so copying them would be very good for the game. I'm not sure if overall leaderboards for every server or cross-server would be the best though. Let me know in the comments below. For fresh start worlds, server leaderboards would be nice, but for the established servers, the cross-server ones would hold a lot more prestige, and when you would see the player with the most kills in OPR ever against you in a match, it would add a cool element to the game, trying to take them out to get the clip of it. Number 9. More things to grind for. Once you hit endgame in New World, you grind out your gear and play the endgame content, but eventually, the content starts to dry up. That's where I would like to see really unique items locked behind hard grinds to show prestige and give players more things to work towards. There's already this to an extent in some things, like the Golden Fishbowl housing item, or the unique housing items that have a low chance of dropping behind elite trials. But I want more of this, and more flashy rewards. I think the achievement system is a great way to best make use of this. There's some grinds on there that are a lot of work, but you don't get rewarded for them, like doing 500 faction missions in every zone. Something like that should have some really cool skin behind it, or an epic mount, or at least a housing item to show off what you did. Then, you can throw in even more crazy achievements, and add more and more rewards to grind for. Like for example, kill one of the named corrupted ogre elite bosses 1,000 times, and you get a skin for your helmet that looks like an ogre head. There's so much that could be done here, and if they don't have the time to come up with more achievements and possible rewards, get the community involved, and ask them what they would like to see. I'm sure we could come up with thousands of cool grinds that don't require much work to implement. This will give the player base something to always be grinding towards, even in content lulls. I know I have used RuneScape as an example a lot, but again, they do things like this great, giving the players satisfying rewards for intense grinds, which always keeps them working towards something, like with their pet system. I know there's been pets hinted at for a bit from AGS, and I don't think it would add much, but if they did how old school RuneScape uses pets as a really rare cosmetic flex for doing hard grinds, that could work well. And finally, number 10, company system rework. The company system could use a bit of a revamp to get more of a community feeling to it. Whenever I'm in a company, I feel like it's just another channel to chat in, and every once in a while, I'll run past someone from the same company in town and we'll wave at one another. I think adding a company-based system will go a long way to making companies feel better, a place where players can teleport into and see one another, with the company leaders improving it for more perks. Like for example, upgrades will require a certain amount of resources and gold to purchase, and these resources can be earned within the base. So you could have like a coal mine, and the company would all get together in the fort mining the coal until there was enough for the upgrade. It would also allow another AFK thing you could do in-game, and be a place to hang out, gather resources, and chat with fellow company members. Then, when upgrading the base, you can get perks like company storage, so you can share gear and items with your company, or small buffs like how trophies give you in your player-owned house, and crafting stations for the company to use. Along with this, you can throw in company achievements that the players of the company can check out within the base and work towards to unlock cool furnishing items for their company base. Like for example, as a company, capture a set amount of faction control points for a cool company flag cosmetic item in the base. Or, members of your company chop down a combined 100,000 trees, and you could put a word word tree in your base that spawns every hour that each member of your company can get resources from. And you could have up to 3 of every resource type in your base. This would just give you more of a reason to join a company, participate as a group, grow together, and build a community feeling around the people you play with. But that brings an end to the 10 things I think AGS needs to add to New World to get the game back on track. A massive thank you to all the people who commented on the community post I put out asking what you'd like to see added to New World. It was great reading all of them, and there were some quality suggestions. Let me know what you'd like to see added to the list in the comments below, or if you'd implement any of my suggestions in a different way. If you guys enjoyed the video, I could put together a part 2 with some of the responses and more of mine that didn't make the initial list. Maybe even AGS will see this video and read the comments, getting a couple of good ideas for them to add onto the roadmap. Also, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. It helps out massively. But until next time, have a good one. Thanks for watching another video. If you'd like to see me participate in a New World Transmog contest, click on the video to the left. Or, if you'd like to see me check out another game over on my second channel, in the looter shooter known as Warframe, click on the video to the right. And a massive shout out to all the channel members and patrons who help support the channel. If you'd like to support the channel further and get your name on the list, there's a link in the video description to do so.